Did you know that COVID was actually planned by big pharmaceutical companies? No, wait. Did you know that COVID was actually planned by the Chinese Communist government? No, wait. Did you know that COVID was actually done by the DNC trying to tank Trump's re-election chances? Okay, hold up. Before anyone gets too lost following one of those chemtrails, I have to give you a spoiler alert. None of those stories are true. And that's because conspiracy theorists are always wrong.
Mr. President, I was ready to tell you that a certain man in my state, a Mr. James Taylor, wanted to put through this dam for his own profit. A man who controls a political machine.
A conspiracy theory is the idea that powerful people are covering up important information.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Now, we do know that powerful people try to cover up important information all the time. However, conspiracy theorists are always wrong about exactly which powerful people are trying to cover up what information and why. Here are 3 reasons why your friend who's posting every day about this stuff on Facebook is always way off. The first reason is that conspiracy theories are oversimplified.
I'm Chris Eddy, and this is Kids Want to Know, and this is my dog, Jisha. But first, we have a story about 2 kids who are dealing with a problem. It's called divorce.
Do you know what divorce is?
No.
If you ask a first grader to explain what divorce is, how accurate of an answer are you going to get? Well, here's Jeffrey, age 5. Divorce is when your family takes all your pictures down. Oh, Jeffrey. Now, ask an adult conspiracy theorist why coronavirus happened, and this is what you'll get. This is Q, or a chart of Q, rather. It all might look complex, but the idea of Q is almost farcically oversimplified. In the Q story, the major events of history which shape the world as we know it were not random. They've all been planned. 9/11, Pearl Harbor, the 2008 housing crisis, the sinking of the Titanic, the Las Vegas massacre, the invention of Wi-Fi, Marvel Comics, Israel, AIDS, psychiatric medication, all of these and hundreds more are orchestrated by the same elite group of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. Well, technically they're Moloch-worshipping pedophiles, but I'm going to oversimplify and say Satan-worshipping pedophiles just to give these folks a taste of their own medicine. Aligned against this unified structure of evil is President Donald Trump and a small band of good patriots who are secretly working with Robert Mueller to expose and arrest the evil cabal once and for all. Meanwhile, informing the public through cryptic breadcrumbs left on an anonymous message board site under the name Q.
Do you think it's maybe just it makes you comfortable talking with other frustrated, sometimes angry people?
Yes.
But maybe it's not true because there's no evidence of it. It's just stuff being talked about on the internet, right?
There hasn't been any non-evidence yet.
So why did coronavirus happen? Well, that's an easy answer. It's right here. No, not Solomon's Temple. Wait, where was coronavirus? Ah, there we go. The legendary Big Pharma bubble. Here we see that coronavirus is another attempt to institute mandatory vaccines, which is part of a many-pronged effort, including putting fluoride in our drinking water and controlling the weather that has been used as weapons to keep the US population in line by the Dwight Eisenhower military-industrial complex, which is just one of the most recent links in a chain of unbroken corruption going all the way back to Atlantis. There's a lot of appeal in making a worldview all-encompassing enough that it cleanly resolves something that's otherwise inexplicable. But anyone who's thrown a wedding knows that things can go wrong no matter how much money you have. In order for conspiracies like Q to be true, they require the global elite to be immune to chaos, chance, and human unpredictability. That's the only way you can get as oversimplified a chart as this. Now, I will say that most Q folks don't believe every single thread in this conspiracy, If you ask them, it becomes more of a value statement that it's good to question tyrannical authority, and it's good to really guard your autonomy. Well, those folks might be interested to know that those values are also tenets number 1 and number 2 of the Church of Satan. Not only are conspiracy theories oversimplified, they're also impossibly secretive. But first, I need to show you something that will really break your heart.
You in the suit! Yes, you!
Remember that lovable old guy from the Pixar movie Up?
My name is Russell, and I am a will.
Yeah, it turns out the guy who plays him is a huge 9/11 conspiracy theorist.
Hi, I'm Ed Asner. We've seen buildings completely destroyed like this before, but only when done intentionally. And therefore, this event must have been planned in advance. I said that?
You said that.
The official explanation of 9/11 is that 19 men with ties to Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 passenger planes and ran 2 of them into the towers. But World Trade Center controlled demolition theories contend that the collapse was not solely caused by the damage from the planes, but by explosives installed in the buildings in order to justify a war in Iraq.
So what's the problem if this was a planned demolition?
This idea, like faking the moon landing or controlling the weather with massive amounts of planes, is impossibly secretive. Consider all the work that must be done to hide and to cover up the government's role in producing a terrorist attack on its own soil. Preparing a building for controlled demolition takes considerable time and effort. The tower walls would have had to have been stripped down and open on dozens of floors. Thousands of pounds of explosives, fuses, and ignition mechanisms would need to be snuck past security guards and placed in the towers without the tens of thousands of people working in the World Trade Center noticing. Not an easy task when the explosives themselves are volatile.
What have I got myself into, Ellie?
But who are the people who actually planted the explosives? What did they think they were doing? Who trained them? Who ordered the charges to be placed at all? How many hundreds of people would you need to acquire the explosives, plant them in the buildings, arrange for the airplanes to crash, and perhaps most implausibly of all, never breathe a single word of this conspiracy? Anyone who's tried to throw a surprise birthday party knows the more people that are involved in a secret, the harder it is to keep.
There's a secret I'm not supposed to tell you, which is...
An inherent problem with massive conspiracy theories is that they involve massive amounts of people. Imagine the conspiracy theorist who somehow believes at the same time that the government is completely inept, like they can't run a basic website, they can't run the DMV, but somehow is capable of pulling off these absolutely massive global schemes perfectly without someone somewhere spilling the beans. Lastly, we should touch on how conspiracy theories always have a political agenda. Back in 2012, Adam Lanza murdered 20 students and 6 members of staff at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut.
The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old.
It didn't take long for conspiracy theories to claim that the whole episode was an elaborate hoax by the government, a false flag operation in which no one died.
It's a horrible thing to think that 17 children got murdered, but it's even more disturbing to think that the government would do something like this and present it as a real event when it's not.
Why would the government do such a thing? To push for the case of gun control.
This is the most anti-gun president we've ever seen. The president uses every terrorist attack, virtually every criminal incident.
If that sounds like a reasonable thing to believe, then the following is no less reasonable. Lanza really did shoot 26 people at Sandy Hook, and that was a potential problem for the gun lobby business. What better way to get in front of calls for tighter gun control in the wake of a mass shooting than to claim the shooting never happened.
I mean, it is incredible, though, to watch fake news in action. I mean, this is how you murder the truth.
Take the original conspiracy theory, reverse engineer it, and now it all makes sense. The Sandy Hook conspiracy theory has an agenda of its own. Divert attention from the real problem, the absence of effective gun control in the United States.
In the past, I've called hoax theory a thought virus. There are people that benefit from these hoax theories, so they don't mind them because the hoax theories are pushing back against gun control. So it's there and people have been infected with it.
The mantra for most conspiracy theories is cui bono, or who benefits.
Cui bono. Cui bono.
Another good way of saying, if you want to know who's behind something, follow the money. But cui bono from conspiracy theories. It's remarkable that conspiracy theorists don't want to look into who's profiting from these theories. Russia seems to think it's worth spending a lot of money to promote Q. Hillary and Bill certainly benefit from the way Pizzagate is so ludicrous that it discredits sensible inquiry into any of their actual wrongdoings. Who's getting money out of anti-vax storylines? Who benefits from claims that COVID was done completely by the Chinese? This is worth looking into, because if the powerful people of this world are as good at concocting massive, fake storylines as you are claiming they are, chances are the conspiracy theory that you're promoting is just another one of the elite's engineered distractions, and you're working every day peddling their propaganda for free. We all know that the government is often up to no good, and people who attack conspiracy theories are usually denying a deeper truth about politics and power to which these theories give expression. What the community needs is to look into evidence of political misdeeds by people with sound judgment, relevant expertise, and good investigative skills. But the question one has to ask is, how many actual conspiracy theorists are like this? Frothing at the mouth and ranting about the evils of the deep state or of the Jews isn't what we want from our conspiracy theorists. All too often, though, that's what we get.
What you've got is big, giant mega banks funding a bunch of communists and cop killers and other organizations, and George Soros is a Nazi collaborator!
A good rule of thumb for people who want to critique and change the government should be not to do anything to diminish their own credibility. Choosing not to flirt with ideas that are inherently oversimplified, impossibly secretive, and always seem to have a political agenda of their own is a great place to start.